Are you a coach, a consultant, or an expert who has poured your heart and soul into creating an incredible online course or digital program? You've recorded hours of video, created some beautiful workbooks, and you know the material can change your clients' lives. But then you check the stats and you see that 15 to 30% at the most of your clients are actually finishing the content. It's kind of heartbreaking. All that value, but it's locked away because life gets in the way and watching hours of video feels like a chore. So, what if you could deliver your expertise in a way that feels less like a lecture and more like a personal, collaborative conversation? A way that really meets your clients exactly where they are 24/7 and then kind of leads to those aha breakthrough moments that we all live for. Well, you can. And it's by turning your intellectual property into a custom AI coach using a GPT. So today I'm going to show you why this is a game changer for client delivery and why it's way easier than you think. So first, let's get something straight. This is not about replacing you. It's about scaling you. So I want you to think of a custom GPT as a digital extension of your brain. It's trained exclusively on all your material. Maybe you have a book, course transcripts, your frameworks, your worksheets. It learns your voice and your methodology and your way of explaining things. And when you give this to a client, they aren't just getting a generic chatbot. They're getting a tool that helps them actually apply your teachings to their specific problems. So it creates two incredible outcomes. First, it feels really collaborative. Instead of passively watching a video, the client is actively engaged and they can ask questions like, in module 3, you had talked about the prospecting pyramid. How would I apply that if my main client base is on LinkedIn? Just an example. So the GPT trained on your work can give a really specific, nuanced answer in your voice, and it feels like a one-on-one brainstorming session. So the second thing is it generates breakthroughs like no other because learning isn't linear. So a client might be on module 5, but suddenly has a question that relates back to module 1, and they don't want to have to skim through a bunch of old videos. They can just ask the GPT and get an instant refresher and connect the dots in a way that wasn't possible before. And this is where the magic happens. Now, let's talk about numbers because they're wild. So the average completion rate for online video courses hover somewhere between that 15 and 30% for a paid course, even lower for a free course. It's kind of like the industry's dirty little secret. But with clients who I've worked with who have implemented custom GPTs, we're seeing a completion and engagement rate of 50 to 60% and sometimes even higher. Why the massive difference? Well, it's simple. It's interaction over consumption. So watching a video is passive. It's easy to get distracted. But having a conversation requires you to really think and to type and to process and apply. So it's the difference between, let's say you're just reading a cookbook and then you're actually cooking with a chef by your side. So your clients get to learn by doing, and this tool facilitates that action. They finish because the process is rewarding and real. Okay, so for the more slightly tech savvy folks watching this, you might be thinking, why wouldn't I use the OpenAI API and build my own chatbot on my own website so I'd have more control over it? And that's a great question. And I used to think the same thing. But here's why I strongly recommend using the custom GPT interface inside ChatGPT for this. It comes down to one thing: the training process and the quality. When you build a custom GPT, you train it conversationally, right? You can upload your knowledge documents and then you talk to it in plain English. You can say things like, when somebody asks about pricing, adopt an encouraging but firm tone. Reference the value ladder concept from my book or whatever it is. The model's really designed to understand this natural language and adopt your persona. And so it really learns to speak like you and it feels a lot more natural to the client. When you use the API, you're starting from a much more raw, robotic place. Getting an API-based bot to sound human or to sound like you is incredibly extensive and an expensive process because it requires complex prompt engineering, like fine-tuning data sets, all these things. So the default tone is what I call helpful robot. It's polite, but it's not you. It doesn't have your personality baked in. With a custom GPT, you get 90% of the way there in an afternoon. With the API, you might spend months and a whole lot of trial and error and a lot of money to get a result that's still not as good. So for delivering your unique IP, the custom GPT, I think, is the clear winner for ease and authenticity. Are you ready to try it out? Because it's a lot simpler than you think. You do need a ChatGPT Plus account to create GPTs. Now, your users don't need one, but it helps because if they don't have one, they do run out of tokens pretty quickly, and the GPT becomes just far less useful. Personally, I think everyone should have a $20 ChatGPT subscription for so many reasons. But in any case, I'm going to walk you quickly through the guide that I created, and you can download this guide for yourself too. I'll throw a link below. But if you've been looking for a way to stand out, this is it. So let me share my screen. Okay, so here we are. So the first thing that you want to do is get clear on the purpose. So before you even start building it, ask yourself, what is this for? Who's going to use it? What's it going to help them do? How is it going to fit into your business? So that's first, is just get clear on the purpose. The second step is to set clear goals for your GPT. So decide what success looks like. Ask yourself, what do I want this GPT to achieve for my business? What kind of experience should my users have? What outputs should it generate? Do you want it to put reflections, plans, action steps? So just make sure that you understand what the goals are. The third one is to curate and format your knowledge. So your GPT can't learn in the traditional sense, but it can retrieve from the documents that you upload, and these are called knowledge files. So you want to include your core frameworks and your models and your FAQs, and maybe even some coaching scripts that really show it how you talk and how you coach as some examples. Make sure that anything you put in there, of course, is anonymized so that you're not risking sharing somebody's information. And if you do have any worksheets or process guides, you can have it walk them through that process, again, collaboratively instead of passively. Step 4 is to craft the personality. Do you want it to sound like you? Do you want it to sound like somebody else, a comedian? You can make it sound like whatever you want. But if you're really trying to extend your IP and have it feel like it's talking to you, then you're probably going to want it to sound more like you. And then it's designing the conversation flow. So will your GPT guide users step by step, or is it going to more follow their lead and meet them where they're at? And this, again, you can download this. It's got all the insights, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time here. I just kind of wanted to run over it briefly. Step 6 is to create some helpful prompt starters. So a lot of times people will open it up and they're not really sure what to do with it. That's why it's really helpful to just have little clickable questions or phrases like this. I want to clarify my business goals, help me reflect on my last coaching session. I'm feeling stuck. What should I do next? Those kinds of things. And that will really help guide them right from the start. Then you want to write the system prompt instructions. And this is a really, really important part because it tells the GPT who it is, it tells it what knowledge it can access, how to behave, and then what to do in specific situations. There's a couple pro tips here if you want to add commands. So the instructions are really going to be what you use to guide its behavior and making sure that it's giving the result that you want it to give to the client when they're working with it. And then step 8 is to build and upload in the GPT editor. So once you have all of this put together, you can go right into the editor and you can build this. And you can upload up to 20 files. So don't be afraid to publish a version 1 because you're always going to be updating and reiterating things and really just refining that the more people use it and the more feedback you get from it. So my challenge to you is this. Just take one module maybe, or one outcome that your course provides. Take the transcript, take any worksheets, and build your very first custom GPT, and then share that with a trusted client for feedback, and then see what happens. Because there's some testing that goes back and forth, and sharing it with people that you trust that are already your clients is a perfect way to start. Now, using a GPT like this is just really one small piece of a much bigger puzzle, though. It's really about evolving your coaching business model to one that meets today's market and today's technology. And I've talked to a lot of coaches recently who are finding that their revenue is down and what used to work so well just isn't working as well anymore. And so I want to be really clear. It's not because coaches aren't needed or that your offers aren't relevant. It's because you might be trying to use an outdated model in a completely different market, Right. So if that's you, I'd like to personally invite you to join us for a free 3-day workshop that I'm doing at the end of July. It's called Future Proof. And we're going to be talking about exactly how to adapt your business to thrive right now. The link to register is in the description. I'd love to see you there. Now, I'm also curious, have you tried using AI in your client delivery? I'd love to hear about it. How did it go? Drop a comment and let's talk about that. And of course, if you got value from this video, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content. Thanks so much for watching.